Hey everyone, this is P4L. In today's P4L review, we'll be taking a look at the newest member of the X-Transbots Master X series, and this is their second release, MX2 Swarm Leader Andras, which is their version of the Sweep Leader Scourge in the Masterpiece scale. So let's go ahead and get started with packaging review. One thing I did want to note is that X-Transbot has been upping their game with packaging. It even came in this nice baggie with the X-Transbot sticker on there, just covering this external box itself, which is quite nice. And the box is pretty large. I think it's probably around the Takara Seeker size in terms of boxes. But let's go ahead and get started with packaging review. Really nice artwork, like just a desolate wasteland and Scourge with all this battle damage, and his Targetmaster Rimfire here are just kind of surveying the destruction, which is really nice render. And again, you get to see that it says MX2 Swarm Leader Andras. On this side it says he who fears is already extinct. On this side, what does it say? It says it's the same thing, but it shows a render of kind of a blueprint schematic of Andras on the bottom here in his alt mode, as well as a robot mode pick up at the top. On the top is just more information, very Masterpiece-like. On the bottom, some more kind of see-through renders, and you can see Andras here, but you also see Eligos, I think that's how, I don't know how you pronounce it, but their version of Cyclonus is coming out in another kind of type of schematic render, and his Targetmaster as well. Alright, on the back is where we get the kind of recreation of the old Transformers box, but you see it all with the X-Transbot figures in the background here. So we get to see Megatron, which is their Apollyon, their Andras, his Targetmaster, their Windcharger and Beachcomber, and all these people that are already out or coming out in the future. And then you get the retro kind of spec sheet here with the red translucent plastic that you would use to go ahead and look at the stats, and his little bio and a little cutout dotted line here. So very nice packaging, no window box or anything like that, but I really do like the box itself. They've done a really good job recreating the Masterpiece look to this box. Out of the box, you get a large clamshell that has Andras and his Rimfire in alt mode, as well as the flight stand and his weapon. You do also get a set of instructions and a ton of other accessories. Some are kind of bonus things for this character, and some are for other characters. So instructions first, I like the back, how they have that kind of drone, I forget what it's called, that goes out and scans the alt forms. It does have really nice instructions. You see that you get Andras, you get the laser rifle, Rimfire, and the flight stand, which is included. It's a really nice flight stand as well. It goes through the different instructions of how you have different features, and it goes from alt to robot mode with specifics on how to transform Rimfire as well. Okay, and also on the back it shows off some of the upcoming figures like Eligos and Trunkian, or Truncheon, I don't know how to pronounce that, Boost, Arcos, and Hatch. And so, and instructions on how to install the LED batteries, which I'll go through very quickly as well. In addition to that, you do get a stat card. It's really nice and plasticky. I didn't even take it out of its plastic, but it's really well done. You do get a little piece here which is called Apollyon's Mace Weapon Connector, and this plugs into his robot mode arm, and that'll allow you to use this mace that came with their Apollyon, and I'll show that off later. Lastly, you get another set of Apollon's shoulder replacement ball joints, or sockets I guess. These look to be by and large identical to the replacement ones they included with Apollyon, but I haven't installed them yet, so I don't know if these are maybe a little bit looser, a little bit tighter, or some kind of happy Goldilocks medium. But yeah, you can install that if you'd like. And so let's go ahead and get into the clamshell. And again, the packaging is really well done. In addition to the exterior plastic bag, which I showed you before, Andras and Rimfire come sheathed in their own little plastic baggie. And Andras already comes installed in his weapon mode here. In addition to the accessories that I just showed off, you also get the 2 pieces of the flight stand. You go ahead and plug it in like so, making use of the posts and the ports on the base. Make sure it gets in all the way there, like so. And then you'll have a little tab here that will go into the bottom of Andras's alt mode. It actually goes into the front of his crotch, and it's actually spring loaded. Let's see if we can show that off. It's a really nice tight fit, and you can get it in a flying pose like this, or you could reverse it and have him kind of angled downward. There is also another post here, like a round post, and I'm not really sure what that's for because I haven't been able to find a way to use this. That said, ATP Designs, like a garage kit group, they are designing a add-on that will allow you to use him in robot mode on this flight stand. I don't think there's any use for these circular things. I mean, I guess you could tab in one of the guns, but it doesn't seem to have a particular purpose for these things here. Maybe it has a point for when they release the 3-pack with the other suite members. So getting started with alt mode review, let's go ahead and take a look at Andras from all sides. And he looks really nice. He has several different shades of blue. He has this kind of dark blue here, a medium blue, and a light blue. And my camera is not doing a great job recreating the colors accurately just because I did lose one of my lamps from my last review, and my new lamps aren't coming in yet, or my new light boxes haven't come in yet. But it does look really nice. Some of this is actually molded plastic blue, and other parts of it are actually painted to kind of match. And they do a really good job kind of matching those colors. It's not completely perfect, but much better than I was expecting. The dark blue plastic actually has metallic flake, I guess, kind of baked into the plastic, which is really nice. A lot of companies are doing this nowadays, and I think it's really, really differentiating in terms of like the quality and overall look and feel and finish. So I really like that. He does have landing gear, which we showed off. The front ones are independent from one another because of the transformation, but the back two are both combined. The other features that you have in this mode are that you do have, I guess, some articulation here. It's really mostly for transformation for these, I don't even know, these kind of like fins, or I don't even know. They do have LEDs on them. The type you'll need are AG0 or equivalent. There's tons of equivalent names, but you'll need 3 for each of these, so 9 in total. And I'll show you guys how to install this in just a little bit. As far as other features, Andras can unplug here. He has a little port with a tab. You can bring his laser rifle and plug in there as well. Alternatively, for the laser rifle, you can come in, pull on this little tab here, open up the right side of the alt mode, bottom right side, and there is a small tab down here where you can plug in the handle. If you can see it while you're trying to plug it in and show it off on camera, and that folds up just fine as well. And that does offer some storage for his weapon. Andras can't fit in there, but the laser rifle can just fine. You can just close that back up and then slide this back in. The only other feature that I believe is in alt mode is that you can recreate that really weird look of Andras having his robot mode head out in his alt mode. So you kind of lift this up, pull this back, and then his head is on a post. And you can pull up on this post, it's super tight. And then this dark blue piece that creates the back of the alt mode can slide down on that post as well and still cover up the back. And then you can have this really goofy looking Scourge or Andras, and he can look all the way around if you want. Alright, to get him back, you just slide that back up, this dark blue piece back up, and then push everything down on that post. Just be careful, since as you can see it's on a hinge internally, so you don't want to screw that up and damage something. One thing you'll find is that the little cone pieces on the back here tend to fall off fairly easily if you knock into them. You need to take them off for battery installation. I wish they pegged in a bit better because they tend to fall off all the time, even if you knock them just slightly. Alright, so very quickly before we move on, let's go ahead and show you how to install the batteries. There are switches here. One of mine actually came with some missing pieces, and this one came with a bad LED, but the center one works, and it's pretty bright. And when you have all three together, I'm sure it looks really great. I just don't know if it's worth having to install all these, and it's not a difficult installation process. It's just not as nice as you would want it to be. I'm not going to show off this one just because it's basically the same as the head once you have the head separated from this piece. So the instructions are, go ahead and unscrew these Phillips heads on each side of the head. And I find it much easier to do this in alt mode than in robot mode, just because in robot mode you have his collar that kind of gets in the way. Once you do that, you'll have one screw on the back which holds the front and back halves of the heads together. So after undoing not just 1, 2, 3, 4, but 5 and 6 screws, you can finally separate the front and back of the head. And you don't actually have to take the entire head off if you don't want to, but I find it just a little bit easier to do. Once you do that, you can open this up. Oops. I actually added a little piece of aluminum to help redirect or reflect the LED that's here, just because it's pointing downward and so it doesn't reflect outwards of the eye. That was a recommendation from Vangelis, and I highly recommend it. When you use aluminum foil though, just remember that there is a shinier side and a duller side, and you'll want that shiny side out. So once you pull off this easy to fall off piece, just grab the tip as well. There's a little round piece on the front like this, pull that off, and then you can separate the two halves. Once you do that, you'll see the area here that will house the 3 batteries. Mine had the flat side facing forward towards the LED. Yours may be different. Just try it out and see which one works for you. But once you get that in, you can go ahead and reassemble everything, and the switch will light up like so. Once you have all that reassembled, just go ahead and flip that switch, and like I showed you before, a nice red light. The center one does have a slightly dimmer light just because it's powering 2 LEDs as opposed to the one on either of these side ones, but it's still quite bright, and it looks really nice. So really nice feature. I do think it was kind of a pain in the butt, especially with LEDs with tiny wiring and potential to break connections. I think it would have been nicer to have something a little bit easier to install, but that's pretty typical for the third-party camp, so I'm not gonna hold that against them too much. The last feature, or last thing I want to cover in terms of alt mode, are size comparisons. And I want to cover both cans, so if you believe Scourge is the recreated Thundercracker, you'll have an idea of how large he is. I know it's not a shoe or slipper comparison that a lot of people are doing, which this guy is definitely foot size, shoe size, but I thought this was a little bit more relevant. However, if you are part of the group that thinks that Bombshell is who eventually becomes Scourge, there you go. Satisfied both people. I don't think there's a real definitive answer. It's not like the whole Frenzy Rumble debate, which, you know, obviously Rumble's supposed to be blue. I mean, that argument just ends there. This one, there's a little bit more interpretation, I think. So let's get this guy out of the way and start off with transformation from alt to robot mode. The first thing we'll do is just go ahead and clear out this landing gear. It just gets in the way. Next, what we'll do is pull out these little side tabs, and I'm going to do this in a way that, in an order that's not exactly what the instructions do. The instructions actually say to deal with the arms first. I just don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. So we're just going to go ahead and pull that out. And as before, when we're trying to store the gun, just go ahead and open up these two parts of the wings. They're also kind of tabbed in up here. So just make sure to clear that. Then you can pull and clear that tab and get it folded back. Then we can go ahead and do that same thing on the other side. Just get that separated there, kind of fold it back. But this guy's quite huge, so I'm going to try to keep it all on camera, but if I don't, I apologize. Go ahead and untab this lower section here that's covering some of the calves. And from here, you're going to come to the back, and there's a double jointed hinge here. It's very easy to just want to, and release these tabs here. It's very easy to just want to pull up on that. I would be careful, and they even tell you in the instructions that you should actually push down on this lower joint to get it kind of accordion like this first, before you actually start rotating it up. And you want to kind of get these out of the way. Get these up and around. Once you have that done, you're going to want to flip around on this hinge here 180 degrees, and then this will start to fold up. Before we do that, let's go ahead now and deal with the arms. I think it's just easier to deal with the arms now. Untab the arms, straighten them out, and then we can deal with this collar or neck part. So you're going to rotate this part up and then this entire head down. Then we're going to rotate the entire section here, the head and this little cubic piece. From here, you're going to untab this section. That will allow you to fold this up or rotate that around like that. You can fold this down. While you're rotating that down, you're going to flip these panels around and back like so. And that way you have everything kind of situated correctly. Coming around to the back again, you're going to fold this, continue to fold this up, fold these flat, fold this flat on the backpack, and then this whole backpack, I kind of grab up here by the shoulders and then push up from the bottom here. That pushes all the way up and gets the wings a bit higher around the shoulders. You bring the arms down. Simultaneously, you can fold these kind of landing gear flaps back. And they are quite kibbly, but the good part about it is that they hide really well because the inside is still that dark blue, and against the inside of the main part of the cape, it's really well hidden. It's very hard to see. Now we're going to deal with the legs. Go ahead and split the legs like so. Rotate at the thigh. And then this is the most complicated part. My foot was actually misassembled at the factory. That prevented it from transforming correctly at this stage. But let's go ahead and walk through it. First, let's fold this up. And then you're going to want to rotate this about 90 degrees. When you're in this position, you're going to start pushing in on the foot. And it's going to start peeking out here. Once you get it to about here, you can kind of just start closing up the foot. But before you do that, that landing gear that's sitting here, you're going to want to push that in slightly so that it actually clears that slot. And once you have the foot like that, you're just going to pull down on it. It's on a nice tight ratchet joint. You're going to extend not only the toe, but the front part of the foot. And then the heel, you're going to rotate it down like this on this die cast piece. But then this slightly lighter blue piece, actually rotates back. And there's a point at which, let's see if I can show it off. So right in here, there's a small circular indentation. You're going to want to rotate it around, and you'll feel that circular indentation sit on another piece that you can't see in here. It's on this dark blue piece. But once you have that situated, you can rotate the heel downward. Come on. Like so. Something like that. And then you'll have the entire foot correctly transformed. I don't really like that. It doesn't, that small indentation for the circle doesn't hold that well. But it does hold. It just doesn't hold as well as I would like. And I think a stop would have been better. So again, on this side, flip this little tip piece in. Rotate in about 90 degrees. Start pushing in. If your foot's mistransformed, just make sure the heel is out like this before you push through. That's what was preventing mine. And I was really confused as to why that was not working until I found out that a lot of people had theirs mistransformed. Come on, push through. Making sure to get that wheel in. Close that up. And then you can pull through on the foot again. Extending that piece as well as the die cast toe piece. Getting that heel piece rotated down. And that heel piece rotated up. So it's going to sit something like that. So once you have the legs done, come up to the upper body, open up the bottom part of the forearm, and push using this little tab to rotate the fist out. Go ahead and close that up. I'm going to leave this side open for right now because I want to show off that attachment piece for Apollyon's. Oh, you know what? Let's just go ahead and open it for now. And here we have Andras in robot mode. And he looks really fantastic. I think this interpretation is really accurate to what we saw on the screen. I think he looks really nice. The cape looks really menacing. It does have some articulation, which we'll go through in a second. But I'm really impressed with this mold. I think they've done a fantastic job of really capturing the character Scourge and making some compromises like this, the landing gear that folds into the cape, but it's really well hidden. Like right now you probably can't see it when it's kind of in the shadowy area. Let's go ahead and look at the head sculpt first, just because that is one of the areas that a lot of people like to talk about. So I'm going to turn on the light just so you can get the full feel of the head. And as you can see, he has a nicely painted beard, a lighter blue face, red eyes. The face looks really dead if you don't have the eyes on. Some people went ahead and opened that up and painted the eyes. If you want to do that, go ahead. You should still be able to make use of that LED and kind of get a glowing effect if your paint's not too thick or opaque. He does have a rotational joint here. He can look a little bit up, not really, but he can barely look at all down. It's weird. He doesn't really have a lot of head articulation, honestly. It's not too bad though. The one thing I don't like about this face sculpt is that it's open mouth. It just seems like he's kind of duh all the time. If they painted it maybe black or something like that, it might have been a little bit better, but just leaving it open seems kind of an odd choice for me for a head sculpt. Alright, so what else is there in terms of articulation? I think this guy's done really well in terms of a lot of the ratchet joints. So you can hear that it almost sounds metallic, and it feels really good. Has a lot of actual ratchets in there. So in the shoulders as well. Lots of ratchets, sound really good. You have a friction joint going out, a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, which allow you to fold up like that. Also helps with transformation. The hands are really nice. They're very much in line with like the KFC X-Transbot hands as of late, with a ball jointed base joint and the individually articulated fingers at multiple joints. And then he has nice, manicured fingertips which are pretty accurate to the show. He has a little bit of a molded detail on the back. It looks like, you know, if you want to add a Decepticon symbol, you could do that. His wings are ratcheted going this way and have like some forward and back motion. Mine doesn't have a lot from what I can tell. I'm not sure if I'm just doing something wrong, but he has like one soft ratchet click that goes back out. But it does go up. His inner wing does have, his exterior wing does have this joint here, pin joint, that allows you to get a little bit of articulation. On the back here, this kind of is just mostly kibble, but you can get it folded up pretty nicely so that it almost conforms it as one large piece. And then they went through the trouble of going ahead and painting some details here and added some molded details. So it's not bad. And that slot, you can make use of it to store the gun. Alright. Going to the waist, he does have waist articulation. It is somewhat limited by the backpack, so he only gets about 2 clicks each way, but it's a decent amount. He has some side hip skirts. He has his ratcheted legs or hips. They're really nice. Just be careful, this part is painted and it does run into the skirt here, so you could end up damaging yours a bit. With this skirt out of the way, you can actually get him basically 90 degrees. Again, he might run into some interference here, so just be careful with your paint. He does have a built-in thigh swivel, which rotates 90 degrees outwards, not that much inwards. He has a double jointed knee, a friction joint at the top, and the lower joint is actually ratcheted. So you get some more than 90 degrees there. And he actually has a separate knee articulation to help cover this gap if you'd like, which is nice. They did a good job there. On the lower part of the leg, they have these ankles that are hinged on the inside, and this is becoming a trend and one that I really don't like. It does give you a lot of ankle articulation, but it doesn't look natural because it's not connected where you would normally think a foot should be connected to the ankle. He does have those 2 pieces on the front, the die-cast toe tip and this piece. They're friction, but they're pretty tight. Again, you shouldn't really be using this part of the heel for articulation, just the ratcheted die-cast piece on the back. But you can use it, it just won't have a as much support. And this part is ratcheted as well, the heel, but it's not easy to articulate or move. I don't know why I felt the need to say articulate. I'm not using words there. Let's see what else. I think that's pretty much it for articulation. Nothing really on the back. You can if you want those pieces that you folded out or pulled out, you can push those back in for a little bit more storage. One of the things I will say with a transformation, while it is pretty well done, it's pretty satisfying, there are some clearance issues that make it just kind of annoying to do. Like when you rotate this around, it kind of runs into a bunch of wings. The foot kind of runs into some of these areas here. The ankles, while you can rotate it on those ratcheted joints, they tend to run into the actual calves themselves. As far as other features, you can make use of that gun tab into the slot here. It's actually on the high end. You can just wrap that up like so. Alternatively, you can use his Targetmaster Rimfire, and I actually did a review of this mold essentially for Adder, which was the Madhouse Toys TFCon exclusive this year in 2015. It's really hard to actually get the the Rimfire in easily. The easiest way that people have been suggesting, which I also suggest, is to go ahead and untab the arms, then get him situated, and then tab the arms back in, like so. But otherwise, he holds it very firmly. The fingers feel a little bit delicate, but as long as you're not rough housing with it, you should be able to get them in numerous different poses with all the different joints and ball pegs that are connected to the hand. Again, I'm not really sure about this tab here. You can go ahead and tab that on like this to make a very goofy looking gun. Other features, if you open up his chest panel here, he actually has two doors that are just lightly tabbed or pinned in that you can open up. Once you open those up, it's easy to just kind of like hold it downward like that. You can slide in an MP10 matrix to kind of recreate that episode where he takes the matrix from Rodimus and, well, actually from Galvatron technically, and stores it himself for the energy and becomes all deformed and zombie-like and maniacal and crazy. And that works really well. You do see a little bit of the matrix on top, but it's still really well done. A nice little feature, and it's pretty well hidden as well. The other last hidden feature, which I didn't even know about, haven't even guessed, is that he has this little piece in his abs that opens the key to the plasma chamber. Alright, so the last thing I want to show off is the Apollyon weapon add-on, or whatever you want to call it. To use that, you're going to go ahead and transform one of his fists. It doesn't really matter which one. When you transform his fist, go ahead and make sure that his thumb is curled up like so, and his fingers are pointed down and curled in. Rotate that around, close that up, and with that little tab here, you can use this tab like so. There's a rounded piece which you want to actually correspond to the rounded piece there on the fist. That allows you to slide up from the bottom or top if you had to rotate it that way to make use of the mace from Apollyon. I don't remember him ever doing this in the series. Maybe he did, but it's probably one of those things that happened once, one episode as a one-off. Then again, the mace is kind of a one-off itself for Megatron. So, since I forgot, let's go ahead and reshoot some comparisons. There he is with their first Master X series bot, Apollyon, who looks fantastic. Still really like that figure. And here he is with a Seeker, just to give you an idea of how well they scale. Let's bring in Grenadier just because why not? And because everybody likes Carbots, we'll bring in a Carbot as well. So yeah, a bit taller than a Seeker, a little bit shorter than Apollyon. But overall, I think this scale works tremendously well. Let's go ahead, since we already have him out, transform Rimfire. He's very easy. Go ahead and collapse this barrel, rotate the head down like so, as well as rotating the waist up. Fold this on his back. His legs split and untab, and you're just going to rotate them around on these ball joints so that the knees are facing forward. Then split the toe and heel. And there we have Rimfire in robot mode. And I really like this mold. I thought it was a good Targetmaster when I reviewed it for Adder. I don't know where my Adder is right now. Oh, it's high on the shelf, so I'm not going to bring him in for comparison. But articulation-wise, he does have a post head, so he can rotate around. He does have ball-jointed shoulders, a ball peg here, and then a soft ratcheted joint that goes out to the side. No bicep swivel. He does have double-jointed elbows, which is also nice. Hips are on ball joints, so he gets a lot of posability there. Ball jointed knees, so you can get like a knee swivel and bend all in one. And the toes are on rotating pins or joints, as are the heels. The face is nicely done. The face is just a red painted face with yellow eyes, which is pretty accurate. Come on, there we go. So this is a really well done Targetmaster. I think it's one of the better ones. Definitely better than the ones that we got with the Hasbro Hot Rod, his offshoot. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get these guys transformed back into alt mode. So starting off with Rimfire, let's go ahead and rotate at the waist up like that. And the head we can also rotate. Not the head, but the neck joint here. Go ahead and extend this barrel now if you want. You can save that for last, whatever floats your boat. The legs, we're going to bring around at the knee joint like so, folding up the toe and the heel. And they're going to tab together and kind of get pointy like that. And the one improvement that they did make on this figure, this Targetmaster, is that they added teeny tiny posts right there on each side for his hands to grab onto. The Adder figure did not have this, and it was one of the major complaints that people had, that his arms had no defined area to hold onto or peg into, and just kind of sat around. The gun mode itself isn't really that strong, but again, it's kind of in the same look and style and vein as Offshoot, and the robot mode for it is much better. So I think it's a decent gun with a really good robot mode for this size figure. Go ahead and finish off the transformation for Andras. We're going to go ahead and rotate the fists in again. Remember, making sure that the finger sides are pointing down, the palm side is down, and rotating that in to the forearm. Just be careful like that. My finger's uncurled. Close that up. You're going to rotate the biceps 90 degrees to get them situated like this. From here, I like dealing with the legs first. So what we'll do is push that heel joint back in, rotate the actual heel all the way back like that, close up the midsection of the foot, and then close up the toe so it's kind of curled up like that. Same thing on the other side. We'll just do that first just because it's one of the areas people are going to have a lot of problems with. Remember to rotate the heel backwards, not internally. Otherwise you're not going to be able to transform it. Go ahead and rotate the waist, the hips 90 degrees like that. Open up the back of the legs to about 90, like that. Then you can push the foot in slightly. You don't have to push it in a lot, but push it in enough. Rotate out the landing gear. It can be in line, or if you want it all the way out at this point, you can do that. Also reach in here and pull out that part of the kneecap, or the tip of this boat mode, space boat mode. And there we go. Same thing on this side. Go ahead and open this up. About 90 degrees. Rotate this piece out. And then rotate the foot in. And again, this weird ankle joint attaching only to the inside actually causes more issues than I think it's worth, especially when doing this transformation. Go ahead and rotate that in slightly. And with that, you can peg the two halves together. Straighten out the legs so they're fully extended. We'll go ahead and deal with the backpack first. We're going to go ahead and push down on it to get it, yeah, we'll do that first. Push down on it to get it lowered again. And just make sure it clicks back here to make sure it's fully extended. Rotate this down a bit. And then rotate this around on that joint. If you went ahead and collapsed these pieces, you can extend them because you're going to need to later. But if you didn't, then you don't have to. Straighten out this back piece. And then these two tabs are basically going to go into the feet. just get it kind of positioned for now. Everything's gonna need some finagling before you actually get it in place. You can fold up the wings like so. You're gonna start getting the arms out of the way. And at this point is when I deal with the head. Rotate this all the way around. From here you can fold the head up to get it kind of in place here, and then we'll deal with these kind of collar pieces. So the collar pieces you can fold down, rotate these around like so. This will kind of fold back up like that, and then you flip these open and they tab into those collar pieces. And then you can just leave it like that for now, or you can lift it up. It doesn't really matter because we're gonna get the arms at this point. You can see these sets of tabs here. Just gonna squeeze those together like that. Make sure they're straight. And then you can go ahead and proceed to flip that blue box down. And now we're coming to the home stretch. We're gonna go ahead and kind of get everything aligned. So these tabs here are gonna start kind of pegging in to the front. When you fold these bottom pieces around, make sure that you gotta get this zigzag piece in like so. Then you can fold this around, that'll tab in. Same thing on this side. Get this edge tab around and cleared like that. And there's some tabs here on the front of the blue piece. Those are pretty easy to get in. They kind of seat themselves, at least for me. They end up doing that by themselves. Rotate these flaps out if you haven't already. And then start closing this up. And you just need to kind of coordinate with all these kind of edge tabs all simultaneously tabbing into each other. It's a little frustrating, but you get used to it, and then you can slide these joints back in. Make sure these tabs right there near the arms are situated in place, and then flip these up if you haven't already. There we go. If you got everything right, it should sit all together. There shouldn't be a lot of gaps, but this is the best I can probably get it on camera really quickly. But yeah, just kind of push everything in place and everything should sit very well. Alright, so that's really it for the transformation back to alt mode. So final thoughts on Andras and Rimfire. I really like this figure. I think they've done a really excellent job of capturing the overall look and style of Scourge, while also adding their own flair to it. I really like the cape. I think it looks really good. I wish it had a little bit more articulation, but it's not terrible. The transformation, while the foot part is kind of annoying, it's the only part of it that I don't think is excellently done. I think everything else feels pretty satisfying. It's pretty well engineered and just a little bit different. So I do appreciate that. The overall look in both modes is really fantastic. I think it would have been nice to have a little bit more paint applications in alt mode, just to break up even this three-tone blue. But robot mode looks pretty good. I think, you know, if Repro Labels comes out with a sheet of labels for this guy, which I'm sure they will, I think it will benefit from that, especially in alt mode. But yeah, I highly recommend this figure. I think at 160 bucks, it's a good price. I don't think it's too high. I don't think it's too low. And the overall quality has improved in the plastics for X-Transbots. And I thought their polygon was really excellent, but this takes it a step further. It feels really nice, secure. You don't feel like you're going to break anything. The plastic is really nice. Everything fits together really well. So I think it was worth them spending a little bit more money and passing that along to us to get us a better overall figure that we'll like, as opposed to spending a little bit less and us being a little bit disappointed and having more breakages. Alright, so if you like the video review, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate that. If you want to keep up to date with all my news and reviews, go ahead and click that P4L Reviews logo that's floating around right around here. If you want to add this guy to your collection, go ahead and click the Toy Dojo link in the description below. And also follow me on Facebook if you have a chance at Peg for Life Reviews. Alright, that's all for today, everyone. Have a good one.